Hi everybody, Steve Rising here with Thin Slice Trading at the Forex Trading Institute. I want to talk a little bit about the dynamics of Forex price action. A common misconception is that many times the newer trader to the Forex market is under the idea that utilizing a trend following technique is going to allow them to actually make more money trading in the Forex, when the reality is it's very difficult to use a trend following technique trading the currency pairs simply because there rarely is a trend there. It's not to say that one cannot use a trend following technique. The problem is many times folks are under the idea that they can trade every single day looking for some type of trend-based activity, when in fact there once again is rarely any trend-based activity. So utilizing a trend following technique means that you're going to be on the sidelines for extended periods of time waiting for true trend-based conditions to kick in to trade the Forex market. A great example of this is we can look here at the US dollar versus the Swiss franc. Once again, for many of you who viewed some of the other videos, we always go to the daily chart because the daily chart gives us an overall snapshot of what's occurring each and every day in a currency pair. So it's a quick summary. So we can see currently here we're in solid sideways conditions right now and solid range bound conditions, and this particular trading range has been going on now for over 2 weeks. Now we had a couple of times here, actually 3 times, where we had price run and clear the top of the range here, but it was actually easier to scalp these moves because the moves were very short-lived, and as you can see, by the end of the day price had pulled all the way back and was inside the range. So the typical pattern that we see here is, we can see here, for instance, we have range bound condition here, top of range here cleared at this point right here, 1 day of activity. We went into a day of what we label as uncertainty as we transition from momentum-based activity back into a new range. We actually got one more day where we got an extension of the move, and that's the typical situation, is 24 to 48 hours of momentum-based activity before we shift back into a range. So if you were attempting to try to trade this move utilizing a trend following technique, you're currently waiting for and may have missed these extensions right here, but the real problem is it requires one to have to work off of a very large stop. In other words, we'd have to work off of a minimum of a 200 pip stop to overcome this back and forth activity that's occurred for side weeks, and you'd be stuck in a trade for literally a 2-week period waiting for the extension of the move to develop again. That means you're going to incur carryover fees, and a lot of times when price pulls back for the entire day, you'll find yourself in a 24-hour to 48-hour period where you're actually, if you look at the trade in your trading account, you're actually in the negative waiting for price to come back around. One of the benefits of the thin slice trading methodology is it is a scalping technique, and it allows us to work off of a very tight stop. What this means to the trader is less risk, and less risk is always a good thing. In fact, most folks find they prefer scalp trading because it's less risk. We can still go for a sizable profit objective, and it also allows us to be in the market for a shorter period of time. So there's a number of benefits to this. One is psychologically, there's less stress and anxiety whenever we can be in a trade for a shorter period of time. The other thing too is it's much more psychologically reinforcing from a positive standpoint, because a scalp trader typically has a number of profitable trades before ultimately they are stopped out. Where when we use a trend following technique, it's not uncommon to have 2 or 3, 4 losing trades before finally the trend kicks in, or we're able to trade where the bias of the market continues. And this is important to understand. This is a very overlooked area oftentimes. That's why when we evaluate or look at trend following techniques, they have very complex money management scenarios, because it's not uncommon to have, once again, a number of losing trades. So from my vantage point, one of the key characteristics or benefits of using a scalping technique is it's fun, it's easy to do, and more importantly, you can have a number of profitable trades where each day you end in the positive, and then on occasion you'll have a trade turn against you. That's just part of a trader's life, is getting stopped out. but we can work off of a very tight stop. With the thin slice methodology, we work off of a net 10 pip stop. And the Forex market is a perfect market to scalp trade because of these consistent range-bound conditions. In other words, using any type of swing trading technique or trend following technique, given the current conditions that we have right now on this pair, there's no trades. But the scalp trader can go in and trade when price reverses off the bottom of the range or the top of the range. We can trade inside of the range, and we can also look for opportunities for price to move when it clears the top of the range. Another thing to keep in mind is that these moves, although when we look at the daily chart, they seem sometimes that they're extended, but if we look at them closely on a smaller time frame, here's today's activity on this particular currency pair, and we can see that once again this is our sideways conditions that we have right here, is there were really just a couple of solid moves that occurred, and they were very short-lived. In other words, there was one nice move right here where we came off the top of the range right here. These are 10-minute candlesticks, so the extent of the entire move was less than 20 minutes. We had another little move right here at this point right here where we had kind of a solid move. And then you can see we would be in back and forth activity, and if you've ever actually traded with real money in this type of condition where price is just fluctuating back and forth in this tight little narrow corridor, it's really very, very maddening to wait to see if price, in other words, if you took the long at this point and you're waiting for it to continue to extend, we know it's bouncing into the top of the range, and so you're back and forth, you're sideways here for 4 hours waiting to see if price is going to move back in your direction. Another benefit of a scalping technique is we literally can plan our trades. We can't plan when a trend is going to occur. We can look at when the signs start to develop. But with a scalping technique, we can learn to understand and interpret the price action and then plan where the best place is for a trading setup to develop. So we can literally set an alarm to be notified by text message or email when price is in the vicinity that we need it to be. So it doesn't have to be a time-intensive process. This is another common misconception, is folks are under the idea that swing trading is less time-intensive because you can place a trade and then walk away for 2 days and then come back and check in and see how much money you've made. When we can see, it's very difficult to see. There hasn't been a move that's been extended for 2 days at all for a number of weeks now in this pair. And the reality is scalp trading is less time intensive. People sleep better at night because we can plan a trade. We can then be notified by text message or email when price is in the vicinity that we need it to be. We then can go to, now with wireless technology, go to netbook, laptop, smartphone, wherever we need to be, place our trade. We know typically that the average size move happens in under 30 minutes. Place the trade, set our profit target based on market conditions, get in the market, make a 20 pip trade with 5 lots, that's $1,000, that in many cases you can make in less than 20 minutes. So it's less time intensive, both from waiting for the setup, you don't have to stare at your computer, as well as being in the trade, which ultimately is a much better environment to be in. So thanks for your time.